of the creators, hosts, or that of Crier Media or their partners. The show may cover sensitive topics and information and discuss triggering issues. Listener discretion is advised.
Dude, I'm starting the day with a little chocolate.
Do you want to run any more errands before we start?
No, I'm good. I'm done running my errands. I am a little bit late.
It's like we got to go a little bit late. I got some meetings.
Yeah, I had meetings.
We're interviewing this guy Kevin, and I'm like Kevin, and then I go back and I look, and I'm like Kevin J. Johnson. Is that guy? Is that guy? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we should get on the phone and have a little bit of a conversation about how you want to handle this today. Oh yeah,
we did on the way home. Yeah, I was on the way home. You called me in the car. We figured it out.
And then he goes, okay, Kevin's on at 1:30 Eastern, 11:30 your time. And then Dean's like, okay, all right, let's go. We're ready. You guys ready? And then he goes, hold on, I got to restart. Then he goes away for 20 minutes.
14 minutes.
And Kevin and I are just sitting here staring at each other. Kevin's like, why am I here?
No, he's here like, because I want him to come on the show. I think he's funny. What?
I'm a little late. It's not the end of the world. I'm busy. You know what I was busy with?
I'm just making sure we're ready, that you're ready to go.
I'm ready.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
I've never been more ready. I've been watching this guy on social media for the last few years, seeing him in the news. I'm like, I want to talk to that guy. But like for a long time, everybody's like, you can't platform people from, and I'm like,
I think we're past that. Although I'm glad we ran the disclaimer at the beginning of the show.
Well, we do that for shows where we don't have guests as well.
We do that because of you.
Are we starting here today?
Largely
because starting sour today.
I'm trying to make Kevin feel more comfortable about the disclaimer at the beginning of the show.
Now we run it for all of it. We run it for every single show. Doesn't matter if we have a guest or not. It's just our way of saying, hey, we might do something stupid, so heads up. I don't think this is stupid though. Excited to talk.
No, I don't think this is stupid either. But you know what? And Kevin actually made a good. Just bring him on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. World colliding.
We should do a little bit of a setup so that people know who this guy is.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay. I'll leave that.
I started to do the setup, and you're like, you should do a setup. I'm like, I'll do it.
I'm a a little agitated.
I know you're agitated. It's because I fucked you over for 14 minutes, and I'm really sorry today.
14?
Maybe 15.
24. Kevin and I were counting. He's in Costa Rica. He's got a fucking pack.
Ladies and gentlemen.
He's on the lam. He's got to.
Well, I don't know if you don't know that. I just know he's in Costa Rica. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past 4 or 5 years, there have been some people who have railed against the things that they find unfair, whether or not we agree with them or not. Their reality might be different than our reality, all that other stuff that you're supposed to see before you do interviews like this.
Some people took it too far and may have spent some time in jail.
One of those people entertained the shit out of me. See, these are things I couldn't say during the pandemic, right? I'm like, this guy's fucking entertaining, right? You'd see videos of him going into like grocery stores, demanding like butter or something, and then getting mad, and then you get arrested in a parking lot.
Well, I think there might have been
get arrested at another place.
There may have been a fist fight with somebody that was stalking the vegetables.
We'll go through it. And then he did some time in jail, but he's undeterred. He's one of those dudes. It's like, yeah, go ahead, do what you want to him. He'll pop up somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, one of Canada's great agitators, please welcome to the program, Mr. Kevin J. Johnson, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. Mr. Blundell, this is a shock, actually. I want to say thank you for reaching out to me because I was always aware of the fact that Dean Blundell, that former radio dude, wasn't really a fan of this guy here. So I just want to say thanks very much for the opportunity to talk to you. Because I've actually known who you are for a very long time. So this is actually quite a pleasure.
Okay. What do you mean you've known who I am for a very long time? Go ahead. When did you first hear
the Dean Blundell show too, right? This Saturday. Your name was all over Toronto. Like Dean Blundell was synonymous with radio, synonymous with entertainment. And whatever the reasons are, you're not in radio anymore. It didn't make a difference. You still had a name. It's some of the names that we all knew in Toronto was the Humble and Fred Show, Dean Blundell.
Great guys.
These are the names that we knew.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was also watching some of your social media during the COVID bit, because I knew that there was some commentary that you'd made about myself that wasn't favorable towards myself. I don't take offense to that stuff, by the way, because it's all free advertising, no matter how you look at it. I thought, you know what, let's watch Dean and see what Dean's going to do during this pandemic. And your approach was opposite mine. It makes neither one of us right nor wrong. I just thought that every single time that you said something about me, you were granting me access to a different audience that might have agreed with me, possibly not, but might have agreed with me.
Maybe.
Either way, this is the Dean Blundell Show. I'm happy to be here.
Dude, you made it. I'm really happy you're here too. I don't remember half of those things that you just said. They very may well have happened. I'm not here to debate those things. I'm here to get to know you. I don't even care
about them, man. I don't care about them at all.
Exactly. Yeah, me neither. Everybody likes to move past it, right? Everybody gets shit talked sometimes. You're in the heat of the pandemic. You had these government industries, different political parties just leaning on us, right? They're like leaning on you. They're leaning on me, all these other people. And I believe this to be true. This isn't even a joke. Locke and I talked about it in the podcast the other day, Kev, is that we were divided on purpose. We were literally pointed at each other like weapons, right? Would you agree with that? Would you kind of agree with that in terms of politicization of a pandemic?
Well, I would agree with the fact that the pandemic did exactly what it was supposed. The fake pandemic, that's what I'm going to call it.
Oh, you don't believe it? You don't believe it was a real pandemic?
No, not at all, because there's still yet one shred of evidence to prove that there was. But it did do what it was meant to do, and that was divide.
What do you think it was supposed to? You think so? So let's back up.
So we're all on the same page. Whether you believed it was a thing or not, it did divide us. Yeah,
correct. Whether let's say it that way. If it was real or not, it divided families. It divided co-workers. Divided teammates on hockey and baseball teams. It divided everybody.
Divided Lachlan and I. We didn't talk for like 2 days once. It was like 2 days we didn't even communicate because you're like, I'm not getting.
We're men. We're not chicks, guys. What's going on there?
Oh, hey, dude. There are a lot of really strong women. My girlfriend's like more of a dude than any one of us on this panel. I'll tell you that right now. But listen, let me ask you something. So let's go back.
Yeah.
So, because I'm fascinated by it, the whole COVID isn't real. Like, you think it was fake for real? Like, you think like, how does that work in your mind? Do you think there's a good strategy?
Point.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to figure it out.
I'll cut right to the science part.
Absolutely. Well, no, you cut it. Well, see, and here's the thing. I will preface it by saying, I am not a doctor and you are not a doctor, so I'm not going to cut to any science on this show. But if you do, let's do it with the caveat that you have how much medical training?
Oh, zero. But I'm an investigative journalist. So I spoke to those who did have medical training. That was my job.
And they said it was fake?
The doctors that I trusted said it was fake. The Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic also had zero evidence at the time. So here's really what happened, gentlemen, is the Ontario government's not a fan of me. I am extremely unpopular with places like or individuals like the Peel Regional Police Force. Why? Because I ran for mayor of Mississauga back in 2018. I placed second. I humiliated.
You lived in Mississauga?
Yeah, I grew up in Mississauga.
Okay, so you grew up in Mississauga.
Yes.
And your thing is that you think the police in Mississauga don't like you.
You should see my police file with them. It's all for talking. So you believe you've been a target of the police since 2018 for no reason. Since I would say the end of 2016. Maybe what I'll do is backtrack a bit here, Dean. You should not know my name. All right, you shouldn't. What I should have been doing when I was raising my family was simply working full-time somewhere. I went from the year 2000 to the year 2016 not being able to find full-time work. I put out more than 6,500 resumes. The 11 job interviews I did get, it was the same crap every time. Sorry, sir, we're not hiring white males right now. We have diversity hiring goals we have to meet. Like, really? So because of the color of my skin, I can't work. I just began ranting and raving about that on YouTube in December of 2016. And as a result, it turns out there was a lot of Canadian-born men, white, black, whomever, but just Canadian-born, who are facing the same nonsense. My channel went from 0 subscribers to 2 million in 5 months. That's between December 2016, May 2017.
YouTube? Was it YouTube?
I was making $5,000 a week.
$5,000 a week. You were swinging a big YouTube dick back then, weren't you? Like, dude, that's not hard work. That's hard work. I mean,
I have a question. I'm sorry. And
Please.
First off, I want to jump in here and just say quickly, Kevin is in Costa Rica, so his signal is a little bit dicey. So if you're watching this on video, you might not get a real clear picture of him.
Yeah.
And if he drops off a little bit, it's just but I'm actually impressed with how strong the signal is. First off, Kevin, what were you, 16 years? You couldn't get a job? Come on. Like, I mean, let's be
just garbage. Don't look.
What were you trying to get?
Marketing, search engine optimization, high-end sales where there was a base pay, not just commission. These are things I was looking for. And some radio stations. I was trying
were you trying to shoot higher than maybe your resume suggested you could actually take?
I would have settled,
like, you get these like delusions, because I'm like that, Kev. You and I are the same, baby. I get these delusions of grandeur where I'm like, I could probably be the CEO of ChatGPT. I'm that smart.
Nah, I was applying for mostly middle management.
I might be the whitest man in Canada, and I have been employed every waking moment since I was 12 years of age. Never had a problem getting a job, Kevin, because of the color of my skin.
Where was all this being done? What province?
What are you talking about? All
he
over.
Was in Alberta, BC, Saskatchewan. Yeah. He was kind of all over the place.
Well, then my sincerest congratulations. I couldn't find work, and there was a lot of men that couldn't find work as well. The reason my YouTube channel blew up as much as it did in the first 5 months of its existence was that there were hundreds of thousands of men in the same position. They couldn't find meaningful work. I mean, I did some work cutting grass. That's ridiculous. I flipped burgers for a short while. These aren't full-time jobs. This is just junk to pass the time while I'm looking for something better. And it got to the point where I got so desperate looking for work, I even applied to the Canadian military to be a media liaison officer. And after I scored 100% on the aptitude test, they threw me out of the building because they said, "You're never going to follow orders. Get the fuck out of here." That's what they said.
You're too smart for that. Yeah.
Too smart, too much of an independent thinker, whatever it might be.
So maybe hold on, Kevin, again, and I want to keep this light, and I'm fascinated by your story, and I'm fascinated by the way your brain is wired. But let's and I like to point out hypocrisy, my own, because I'm very self-aware, and other people's as well. I and occasionally it will happen. Do you think maybe there's an issue with the interview process for you?
What, am I too handsome?
Yeah. To Lachlan's point, is there an outside chance that you just you seize up and like?
I have never been asked to leave after I did an interview,
and nailed
even
it.
for a job I didn't get.
No,
I'm sorry, sir. You're going to need to leave the building. It might have something to do with your approach in the interview process.
We don't know that. We don't know.
I was totally polite with the military guys. They just didn't want a free thinker.
I'm on Kev's side here.
Yeah.
He got fucked over for 16 years.
16 years.
He was too good for the jobs he was getting. Don't disagree with you, Kev. And the jobs he could get when they said you can work here, but you're too smart. Probably something there too, right, Kev? Like, hey, listen, it's a burden being a genius. I know it. I know the feeling.
Sometimes it is. But look, guys, all I wanted to do was just work full time, leave in the morning, work full time, come home, be with my kids and family, soccer practice, hockey practice, whatever. That's the life.
I'm getting a picture. You're getting mad because life is not working out the way it's supposed to work out. You're a great sales guy, great communicator. I believe on your website or on your Twitter handle, if I'm not mistaken, it says you're the best, Canada's best public speaker, Canada's best podcaster, but also Canada's most censored man, right?
The most censored man I can certainly confirm, but everything else would just be bluster. I also say I'm Canada's best looking man, but I'm not basing that on
self-aware. That's self-aware.
Yeah. I like that.
So when you're making your coffee in the morning, are you putting sugar in it or ego?
No, he's just joking around about that part.
I drink it black. That's it. I'm changing nothing about my morning coffee.
Okay, so I'm gonna get to like the story of Kevin J. Johnson. But 2016, couple years, you're raging on YouTube. Bunch of men identify with you. You're like, yeah, we've been fucked over too. But you went off, which is your prerogative, dude. Free speech. I'm a firm believer. Your opinion was you were getting, if I'm not mistaken, right, is that you were getting fucked over by diversity, equity, and inclusion hires, and Canadian jobs were being taken away from Canadian men like yourself. and that was your outlet where you were like, I need to do something about this. 2 million people then sign up to follow you down that road of, yeah, we're getting fucked too. Is that correct? And that was really the impetus for this version of Kevin J. Johnson, correct?
Precisely. You nailed it.
I got it. Not bad.
There you are.
How do you like that?
Yeah,
how do you like it? Very popularized version of your life.
And I am the kind of guy, Dean, I'm not going to get into fist fights. I'm not going to lose my cool and throw stuff across the room. I took my frustration and channeled it into something. At least I thought it was positive.
Yeah. Did you not get arrested for a couple of altercations during COVID?
21 times.
Just a couple.
But they weren't altercations. We'll cover some of those. Okay. But let's just get into it here. In May of 2017, I had decided that I was going to take my newfound popularity and run for mayor of Mississauga for the second time, which I had done in 2014.
Okay.
2 weeks after I made that announcement, Bonnie Crombie, the then mayor, had me arrested for hate speech. And the only bail condition that was given to me is I couldn't speak to directly Bonnie Crombie or be around Bonnie Crombie.
Now, what did you say to get you arrested, though? I don't remember that. We'll Google it. What did you say to get arrested? That she alleges you said.
I cracked the Muslim joke. There was a video of a Muslim guy scrubbing his anus in a public drinking fountain in Paris. And it's just me in the bottom right corner with sunglasses on, cracking jokes as this guy's scrubbing. And then he drinks from the same hand. And I went, no, that's dysentery. No, we have a new epidemic coming. Like, that's the kind of jokes I was cracking. And that's enough.
Yeah. Hang on. I get it. You're cracking jokes, free speech, all that other stuff. It's stereotypical racism is what that is. That's what we call that in the business, right? Where you're like, hey, look at that dirty person. He's racist. And you're railing as part of your campaign. This is what I'm gathering, Kev. You're railing as part of your campaign against diversity, equity, and inclusion because you couldn't find a job. So it's going to come across as racist, right? A little bit.
Oh, I got accused of that all the time.
Well, you've said a lot of things that could be considered racist. Do you think?
By weak-minded people, sure, yes, I would agree with that statement. But by anybody who's a thinking person, no. Anybody with a higher intelligence quotient who understands I'm trying to make a point is not going to look at my point as racist. They'll look at it as either factual or satire. There are two different ways that our society is looking at things right now, and the ultra dumb are jumping on the bandwagon of he's racist, he's Islamophobic, he's homophobic, he's transphobic, he's a hater, and so on.
Yeah. Kevin, the one thing that we've touched on this podcast occasionally is when you end up in waters where you're potentially saying something offensive, I think there's people that are good at it, and then there's people that think they might be good at it and aren't good at it and may get judged for how they're delivering that message. And again, even people that are good at it are still hauled out in the public eye and accused of whatever it is that they're railing against, whatever they're talking about. Like, for instance, Chappelle or a Ricky Gervais or anybody that tests the waters from a comedic perspective and says things that could be deemed offensive. Like, if you just take a transcript of Ricky Gervais' comedy special on Netflix and you read it, and I read it out loud without any inflection or any attempt at trying to be funny, it could be deemed as very offensive because Bill Burr's another perfect example. But because they're great at what they do and they can negotiate those waters, you can step back if you're not a weak-minded person or you're not trying to be offended, and you could say, all right, that was an attempt at humor. I might not necessarily agree with it, but that guy made a really good point and it was kind of funny. Kevin, is there a chance that your attempt at satire might not, maybe you're not in the same,
maybe you don't have the satire gear. Yeah.
Is that fair to say? And is that the reason why maybe some of your content on your YouTube page at the time would have been deemed as racist?
delivery is going to be part of the issue with anything that is said. I mean, you can threaten to kill somebody with a big smile on your face and, like just and make it
actually,
seem
you
like
can't actually, even if you're
right?
smiling, it's
I'm just saying that the mood would be different, is what I'm saying here. It would not
I'd
be
be
taken
very
seriously.
scared. Yeah, if someone
right.
threatened to kill me with a smile on their face, I'd take that more seriously than if they threatened to kill me with like a frown.
that would bother me more.
Yeah, like if someone came up to you, Kevin, was like, "I'm gonna kill you," you'd be like,
Well, no,
"That
no,
guy's
hold on.
for
That's
sure
not a
gonna kill me."
smile.
But if
That's
some
not a
guy comes
smile.
up to me and he's like, "I'm gonna kill you," I'd be like, "You don't mean that." Right? Very different.
But
Anyway, go ahead.
I think the point that I'm making here is that in delivery, some people interpret my particular methodology of delivering information with the eyebrows going up and the smile on my face and the quick head movements. Some people are frightened by that, and mostly women, let's call it what they are, and mostly very, very weak males on the far left side of things. Weak people will always look at somebody who delivers information like me or Chris Sky or Bill Burr. They'll look at us.
I don't know if we should throw Bill Burr.
No, let him do it. Let him do it. I love
I'm
it.
going to go ahead and do it anyway.
Sure.
Because I love Bill Burr, and my delivery has at some points been as harsh.
I'm
as,
sure
You
Bill
know
will
what?
be
I got to
just
tell you
thrilled
something.
by this.
I got to tell you something. Guys like me, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, same thing. We deal with the same
Well, you're as
issues.
good
Go
looking
ahead.
as they are. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
All right. The point I want to make, though, is that it's up to the individual to interpret what
Sure.
they think the person's trying to do or trying to say.
All right.
Which is
all right.
too
I don't
bad.
disagree with you, Kev. I don't disagree with you. Let's look at a couple of things. And listen, this is not gotcha. I just brought this up because I'm like, okay, let's look at some of the things that you said and let's go through them and see if they could have been interpreted differently. This is 2022. Well, here,
They're not trying to hide anything there, eh? Racist Calgary mayoral candidate.
Yes, CBC starts everything off that way. Everything.
Yeah,
That's
they
Megan Grant that
definitely
does that,
think
by the
you're
way.
racist. So let's
Oh,
just
hold on.
pop
We
this
used
open.
racist last week. What are we going to use this week? Let's
Racist.
go
They don't
with
have
fringe.
anything else.
Kevin J. Johnson arrested in the U.S. after failing to show up for jail sentences in Ontario and Alberta. Did you go on the lam, fella? I didn't know this. You got arrested in the
I
States?
remember this. I remember that
Racist
picture.
former Calgary mayor's candidate Kevin J. Johnson arrested in the U.S. after failing to show up to a Toronto courthouse to begin serving an 18-month jail sentence. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. U.S. Customs and Border told CBC Johnson was arrested Tuesday for illegal entering the country. A person found, quote, wandering on foot. Was that you? Were you wandering around
We
Montana?
talked about this when he
I
tried
remember.
to cross the border and then got stuck in a snowstorm. And
Is that-
wasn't there somebody that was supposed to pick you up and the car broke down or something, or they couldn't find you and they went back to the Motel 6 or something? Like what was?
Well, there's a whole bunch of questions in that one. So essentially, the seventh attempt on my life was enough for me to say, this Canada thing's not really working out for me.
Who tried to kill you?
The last one was quite serious. They came at me with hammers and a baseball bat. I split. And the only reason I got away from the crowd that was trying to do as much damage.
Who came after you, Kevin? Sorry.
Probably the Antifa clowns that were always coming after me during the last couple of
Okay, so
political
do you,
runs
but you
I've
know
made.
who the? Do you have any? And did
I
you
don't
get
know
video
who
of
they are.
this? No.
When someone's wearing when someone's wearing a mask,
you run.
you don't know who they are. What I can
Or
tell
you're
you though
skiing.
is that one of my friends screwed up, and she let everybody know accidentally where I was living in Calgary, which I told everyone. If you're coming over, your mouth is shut.
Yeah.
So Antifa got their hands on the actual pin, the Google pin, as to where I was, or someone who's affiliated with them.
Those
And
tricky
this was just a
bastards.
few days before Christmas of 2021. That is when the guy says, "Hey, Johnston," and two guys came busting through the fence with hammers. Now the fence was really flimsy. I was renting a house from Pastor Artur Pawlowski at the time. I split. I went across the road, hopped the fence, and there was more than waiting for me. I made a right turn, and the only reason I got away, Dean, is because there was a hole in the fence. No, not because I was faster. There was a hole in the fence that I knew about that they didn't. And I just went straight through, rolled,
Just like
gone.
the Millennium
Sneaky
Falcon
bastard.
in Star
Gone.
Wars Return of the Jedi,
Kevin,
where you're like right into the mouth of the worm, right? Yeah,
Kevin,
go
there's
ahead.
a lot of holes here. Let's just
No,
try to
no,
fill
just
one.
wait,
Why
just
why
wait.
is
I'm
Antifa
not
after
done,
you?
Lachlan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not done. Hold on, I'm not done.
It gets more violent.
Well, no, just that was the attempt, the last one for me. I'd had enough. I truly had enough of all the attacks.
Okay.
Look, they trashed my car. They lit Pastor Art's garage on fire, knowing that I lived 2 doors down from this guy.
I think he lit that on purpose. I think he did that
I don't
himself.
think so. I've known the guy a long time. Not a chance.
Sorry.
They stole a lot of my stuff. They stole my signs. I was attacked by Antifa live on Facebook. The cops let them go. All kinds of crazy crap had been going on, really. So I'd had enough. I said, you know what, this Canada thing, it's not going to work for me. So I made an attempt to acquire asylum in the United States. It's just that, unfortunately, the night that I picked to cross the border was the coldest freaking night on record in that area. It went down to minus 48 Celsius. So I'm thinking, all right, this sucks, but I'm up to it. And I buried myself in the snow and just waited for the sun to come up. And as soon as the sun came up, the temperature went right up to about 10 degrees Celsius. I started making my way towards the small town that I was planning to go to, and then put forward my application. There you go.
Were you cold?
Yeah, it sucked.
Did the United States take you?
Well, the Border Patrol had picked me up. I'll tell you why. Because there was a set number of women who were expecting me, and they panicked. I said, look, I want to be an American or I want to be dead. Just leave me to die. That's the decision I've made. They ignored me. And they
As
said,
one does.
He's looking around. He's cold. Go get him. So they were looking for me. And that's
what do you mean? Hold it. Women back in Alberta that were worried about you.
Women in the United States. Women in the United States.
You had some. Did you like you had a couple hookups down there that you were like ready to go hook up with a couple of ladies? Is that the deal? You had like a harem of women waiting for you?
Nice.
Was it Tinder or Blundell?
Was it Hinge? Were you on Hinge?
I'm saying very nice ladies. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so you say to yourself, if I'm to understand this correctly, right?
I'm leaving Canada because Antifa wants to kill me.
Antifa's after you with bats, and you're jumping through holes in fences and shit. And you're like, that's the last time that happens, guys in ski masks. Sorry.
No,
so you go. You decide.
All that lower face crap that they wear. No one had a ski mask.
You just meant like a. So you had at least responsible murderers at your house that decided they didn't want to be sick, which is nice. So anyway, they were.
No, man, those
it's a great story.
Your face from the bottom. You know the necker that pulls over.
Yeah, it's a dickie.
Kevin, they didn't want to give you COVID.
They didn't. Yeah, they took it seriously.
Well, they believed in it, so sure, I guess.
How long were the bats? Were they long enough for social distancing?
No. Short
like
stuff.
Were the hammers on sticks? So they like, we're not getting that close.
Construction hammers. I think the ones you buy for $12.99 at Home Depot.
Yeah, really good one. Like a Husky is like $40. But anyway, so let me get this straight. You decide I've had enough threats on my life. Take your word for it. Guys in ski mask hammers. I'm leaving. You devise a plan. Before you go, you tell some ladies on some dating apps that are on the other side of the border in some small town in Montana that you're coming and you're going to be part of the United States because you're seeking political asylum. And when you don't show up because you're in a snowbank, it's from what I understand, when you don't show up, then that's when they put out the APB, the all points bulletin saying, hey, our friend Kevin's wandering around, and the police then pick you up as you were wandering around this small town in Border Patrol picked you up. Okay. Am I on the money there?
No, everything except the dating app. Sure.
Oh, okay. So this wasn't a dating. I'm just asking. That wasn't a dating app. You're just women that you know.
These are individuals that I've known for a very long time. Not naming anybody, but a very, very long time.
Is it
sexual?
Hang on. I want to know. I want to know if he's got a hookup
from Canada.
Is it sexual in nature?
Well, the idea was to actually get into a car and then head down to the nearest courthouse and put forward the application. That's what it was all about. It wasn't about hiding in the United States. It was to actually put forward the application. That's what it was all about.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, it didn't go very well because when the border guards had me in their office, I kept saying, gentlemen, my life's in danger. You guys know you can't send someone back whose life is literally in danger. So they looked me up and they're going, holy smoke, you're this guy. So it turns out that they knew who I was based on all the media from Alberta that got down to Montana. They had no idea what to do. So these guys, they just said, here, have a seat. Here's some blankets. Here's a couple of burritos, so like frozen garbage burritos. But yeah, I even got a can of Diet Coke. Thank you very much for that. And they're on the phone for 3 hours, not knowing what to do. Like, what do we do with this guy? He wants asylum. Like, what do we do?
Sure.
What do we do?
Many people try to escape Canada, Kevin.
Well,
yeah, it would be so weird, right? Like if you're a border patrol officer, everybody's trying to get into this country, and you got a guy from this country going, "Let me out." Like, and they're probably looking at you like, "Are you serious? Can we just take your place? We'll go back." serve a little time.
Go. You guys think it's so great? Go. I would have definitely traded with them.
Okay, so they pick you up, send you back.
Essentially, yes, without an actual hearing, and they refuse to take the.
You're an illegal alien. I have a firm opinion on like illegal immigration. That if you come into a country illegally, you should be sent back immediately. So that's what happened to you, and Border Patrol sends you back. Yeah, that's what they did. So you go back to Calgary. You serve 18 months in prison. Is that correct?
No. I go back. They dropped me off at the Saskatchewan border, and the Border Patrol said, "Do you have any warrants for your arrest?" I said, "Yeah, check Alberta. There's got to be something there, I'm sure." I was podcasting until a couple days ago, and it turns out that there was a warrant, a provincial warrant in Alberta. So the RCMP drives me to the Saskatchewan prison. That one is horrible. It should not exist. Oh God, it's a bad place. At which point they then decide to drive me to Medicine Hat, where the sheriff's department picks me up. And one of them said, "Oh, Mr. Johnson, I can't believe this. I watch your show all the time." Yeah.
A celebrity in lockup is he's thinking to himself.
We made a stop at McDonald's for coffee. I got bathroom breaks whenever I wanted them. They actually didn't even bring out the cage truck. I got to sit in a seat in an actual Suburban.
What an incredible experience, right?
Wow.
You get to ride an SUV and everything.
Yeah. So what had happened there is they locked me up for an additional, I think it was 12 days. And then I had my bail hearing.
Yeah.
The bail hearing. And in there, I got released into my friend's custody, where I had to endure 3 months of house arrest during the truckers' convoy in Ontario, which I really wanted to go to. But every second or third day, Edmonton cops would come by and ring the doorbell, make sure I was there. You know, like, Mr. Johnson, you can't be outside having fun. Don't you dare.
Well, house arrest for like skipping out on like jail is, they take it fairly seriously. So I mean, you just accepted it. You're like, I can't go to the big party in Ottawa, right? I can't go to honk a horn and stuff. So you just accepted it like a man.
I couldn't even be on the internet. So my show, my podcast at the time was still running 5 days a week. I had to pick up a static landline and, "Hey guys, Kevin J. Johnston here. This is the Kevin J. Johnston show," like from a telephone. I couldn't be online.
Okay. So you when do you go to jail?
When do I go to jail?
Yeah, like that's what I'm trying to get at. Like you're taking me through the minutia of the experience, like Saskatchewan, Medicine Hat. I want to know how jail was.
And is
Antifa
still chasing you?
Yeah, where are they now?
Well, they've pretty much disbanded now. Like in Alberta, they're non-existent. No one's paying them anymore.
Hey,
that's the thing, right?
That's your new gig. You can start Antifa up in Alberta. There's a huge gap right now.
Well, someone's got to start the forest fires.
Yeah, go ahead. So
there's no political reason for them. Like they're not trying to stop me or Pastor Derek Reimer or Pastor Artur Pawlowski from running for office anymore. So
I think Artie's got his own issues there too, right? Like he's been married 40 years and his wife's like 52 or something like that. So you might want to look into that. But anyway, he's a year younger than I am, and his wife is 2 years younger than him. I know the family. Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, so you go to jail when?
I go the first time in Alberta. I went to prison for 7 weeks during the mayor run. I polled number 1 in the Calgary mayor race. They couldn't have that, of course, because I was promising to put the whole city back to work, to get rid of the mask mandates, to get rid of social distancing, and to arrest all the key brass who worked for Alberta Health Services who forced this nonsense on us in the first place. Yeah. So that's when they arrested me. It was 2 hours after that poll came out. And I was gone for 7 weeks.
And there's no reason other than you scored favorably in a poll in a mayor's race, and that's why you went to jail.
My disclosure is hilarious. They went looking through every single video I had ever produced, which at the time was over 5,000. They were looking for sedition, traitor callings, intimidation, counseling to a crime. They looked for everything and they couldn't find it. In fact, the RCMP came back saying Johnston is no threat. So they got me on causing a disturbance for not wearing a mask.
So
7 weeks for not wearing a mask.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that story. You never pulled any higher than second to last in the Calgary mayor's race from the time of your announcement.
It was an independent poll.
Oh,
it was released.
Different poll.
Good. It was released by a Christian group that I didn't know. I had no idea who they were. We were just very happy.
They believe in Noah's Ark. Are we really going to take anything
I don't
they
care
say about present day?
I don't care.
Seriously?
Obviously, Dean, it was taken seriously enough for them to come and get me.
Well, or I'm just throwing this out there as like a little trial balloon. Or maybe your story is inaccurate about what it is that you got arrested for, and maybe you got arrested for jumping bail. Maybe that was it.
Causing a disturbance. In May of 2017, it was causing a disturbance. Well, that's how they got me out of the campaign.
All right. So when do you go to jail though? Like, give me the jail stuff. I want.
Well, that was the jail. That was jail. That was prison.
But this wasn't during COVID.
Yes, it was.
Okay. So yeah, all right. The timeline's a little crazy, but
this is 2021.
Let's get back on track here. So now you're running. You get out of jail.
I'm running for mayor. Okay, here, look, guys. I'll simplify it. I'm running for mayor of Calgary, May 2021. I get arrested. All right, I started running in February. They arrest me in May. They hold me till the first week of July.
Yeah, but you're still beaking off getting in fights at No Frills and shit. Like, you got arrested at a fight at a fucking grocery store. Dude, you got to include all of it. Like, you can tell a story here. I'll let you tell your story. I'll be super nice.
That was April of 2021.
Whatever.
Hey, you guys want to hear the story? I'll tell you the story.
Dude, I saw it. No, I watched you go in and bait people at a grocery store. Listen, I love these conversations. I really do. But you're going to have to include all of it, right? Like, you can't just invent these ideas or invent like
back to April.
Stuff like that.
Back to April, Kevin.
Okay, April 2021. I get invited to speak in Dawson Creek, British Columbia. We packed everything except soap. I said, gentlemen, I am not under any circumstances going to share bars of soap with you. So we went to a No Frills run by some guy named Dave. We walked in. I'm not going to wear a mask.
Yeah, they name it after the guy all the time.
Dave from No Frills. That's him. Dave's No Frills. Sure. And I buy a 2-pack of Irish Spring soap. The cashiers say, well, we're not going to serve you because you got a mask. One of the cashiers assaults me, punches me. I said, no, I'm not doing this. I just put a $5 bill down on a $2 bar of soap. And as I'm walking out the door, this Dave guy, he hits me, pokes me right in the chest. And then we said, whatever, I'm leaving. And as we leave, Dave comes out looking for trouble. And when I had my cell phone up filming his face, he turns around and slaps my hand. So I gave him that. I used the minimal amount of force necessary to end Dave's second assault of me. That's all that it was. But the RCMP officer that comes in, he came in shouting and screaming at the top of his lungs, "You're under arrest! Get in the car! Put your hands, man! You man!" Well,
did he talk like that?
Oh, well, to me, that's what it sounded like. You guys can see the video. He shouts the whole way through the video. It's on YouTube. It's all free to watch.
I'm going to bring it up here.
Yeah, I'm going to. Please bring it up. Then if you notice, he was so bad, this RCMP officer was so bad at doing his job that when he handcuffed me, I was still holding on to the bars of soap. And I had to throw the bars of soap with my hands cuffed behind my back saying, guys, take my soap. I'm not giving the soap away. So I got a night in prison for that. I made bail the next day. And then I guess about a year ago, the charge got turfed.
So here's a question I would ask you. Here's a question. I want to get to the second. We'll get to the video in a second. Here's a question I would ask you. What I've gathered so far from all the stories of Kevin J. Johnson's experience over the past several years is that you've done absolutely nothing wrong and have deserved none of the things that have happened to you, and you've been targeted, right?
I have done something wrong from the left-wing perspective. That is something.
No. The left wing does not run the judicial in this country.
Sure, they do.
No, they don't.
I've had over 380 court appearances in the last 7 years. I can tell you, it's extremely far left.
Well,
I am not a fan of it at all.
So, of course, I wouldn't either if I had been arrested 380 times or whatever it was.
No, those are court appearances, but
but so I'm a big fan of this thing called self-awareness or personal responsibility, right? I don't like getting arrested. I'm not a big fan of getting arrested. I also love it when people explore their own reason choice, it's called. So in the big picture, you've encapsulated 8 years of legal issues you've been going through that arise from anger and emotion, right?
Frustration, not anger, but yeah, frustration.
Frustration stems from anger. Like, we can go through the actual psychology of your mind if you like, but we'll do it off air. Is that you have, for all rights, tough time getting a job, life sucks, 16 years can't find one, do a YouTube channel, you become somewhat of a celebrity, of a provocateur, people start donating to you. A lot of GoFundMe's there, right? You're like, okay, great. I'm on the drip. I get it. It's the same for everybody in this industry. So take no, I'm not insulting you. Yeah. And the more you escalate, right, you connect with groups of people, the more, maybe some of the money you make and stuff like that. You're now in Calgary, as you pointed out, and you're making a point of, I like to call it, and dude, like we all do this, put your thumb in the eye of the idea. And your idea is that you don't want to wear a mask, right? You are anti-mask. Aside from being accused of being racist, you're anti-mask, anti-vax. You think it's all fake. So you spent a lot of time and money, and you had a team, a multimedia team, right, to build the Kevin J. Johnson brand. And the brand was thumb in the eye of anybody. Personal choice is my own business. F you. I'm allowed to say what I want, do what I want. And to me, it sounds like you got caught up in the vortex of that. This is just from the outsider's perspective. And it came from a series of things that you did. So we've all curated our own impression of what Kevin J. Johnson is. And it's becoming more clear to me as I talk to you. And I'm really enjoying this conversation, to be honest with you. Because we're getting to...
I'm a little frustrated.
That's okay. You're allowed to be.
What your
it's
frustration
somewhat disjointed.
And the frustration that I hear coming from you is that you're not allowed to have things that are nice. You're not allowed to be a Canadian man that works. And so this is full-on resentment theater. Here's the video from you at No Frills. This is what you got arrested for, to your point. Let's watch it together.
Okay, so this is me putting the camera in the guy's face.
Yeah.
This is Dave coming out.
So far, right? So far, you got your camera in the guy's face. Not a lot of people like that. I'm a big fan of not doing that to people, but whatever. Let's do that.
I was not going to touch this guy.
No, but you went into the No Frills and caused a scene on purpose without a mask, right? Yep. There we go.
I paid for soap. I didn't get my $3 change back. Okay. Okay, there you go.
And
so there's your soap.
He wants you to get the hand. Oh, no. So now here's the thing. Let's go back here.
That's not a punch, guys.
I don't think it's a punch, Kev. No, dude, I've been punched before. That's not a punch. No, he's trying to get your phone out of the hand.
The law is I have to use the minimal amount of force possible to end his assault on me. That's it.
That wasn't an assault. He grabbed your phone. He didn't punch you. So that was the thing. This is why I like having these conversations. No, hang on.
If I was holding on
having these conversations, because you just told me that he punched you and started the whole thing, and you got arrested.
I said slap the phone out of my hand. I didn't say punch me.
Oh, okay. Well, he slapped the phone out of your hand, but you got the phone in his face. That's a personal.
I think you said you got one of these on the way out.
Yeah, I didn't see that either.
I got a poke in the chest like that. Two fingers.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that's the first time you go to jail?
No.
No.
Okay.
Second, I think.
And then how long have you spent in jail? When did you get out?
That was one night. I was out the next day because my lawyer made a really good bail argument for me. Actually, you know what was funny about that bail hearing? It was all done by phone, and the Crown attorney was trying to get me banned from the province of British Columbia until the trial could be heard, which of course is outside of charter rights. I couldn't believe the crazy stuff he was asking for.
Yeah.
So the bail condition was don't talk to Dave. Don't go to Dave's store. I thought, you know what? Okay, I won't talk to Dave. I'm not going to go to Dave's store. I promise. I swear I'm not going.
Yeah.
And then that one was up in the air for, I guess, 2.5 years because that courthouse obviously had been very busy. They couldn't get any hearings done. And then they realized they didn't want me back in their town. So they just let it all go, which was fantastic.
Yeah, because everywhere you go, you do a scene, right? You go somewhere, you do a scene and you record it, you put it up, and you're like, I'm fighting for you.
Stupid. I'm going to make a scene. You're damn right.
Of course you did. Of course you did. And they kept telling you to stop.
We're getting into a bit of a circular conversation here based on the fact. Yeah, no, but hold on.
I'm loving it too. It's Dean Blundell, everybody.
No, I know. And listen, we're excited to have you, Kevin. But let's get to the point where you're actually running for mayor. Okay, so now you're running for mayor. You're making signs. You're out. And that is after this. This is now spring 2021. You spend your night in jail. You can't talk to Dave anymore. Now you're going to run to be the leader of Calgary.
My application to run for leader of Calgary was about 2 months before that Dave incident. I signed up in February of 2021.
Okay.
So I was running for office when all this was going on. This whole thing, because my entire campaign was wrapped around getting rid of all the COVID mandates in Calgary, making Calgary's economy #1 in the country because everybody was going to go back to work. That was my campaign. So obviously, when there was an opportunity to discuss these masking policies, the COVID policies, all the policies brought forward about social distancing and so on, naturally, I was dead set against all of that, mainly because nobody had ever proven at all that something was really going on. I filled out 105 FOI forms to every medical agency in Canada. And not one response.
Freedom of Information. Yeah.
Freedom of Information Act forms, which they only get 30 days to reply.
Is there a chance, though, Kevin, that there may have been some question marks about COVID because there was a lack of understanding about the impact it would have on not just in Canada, but around the world?
Okay, I'm going to answer that question by telling you something very simple. Okay. I went to the Trillium Hospital in Mississauga when this COVID thing started. And there's ambulances parked on like all kinds of angles. The doors were open. The sirens are on. We've never seen that before. That level of incompetence is not possible in our modern era. So we looked inside with the cameras running. They're all empty. We went right inside the hospital, empty. Nobody was in the emergency room at all. And eventually the security guards caught on to who I was. So they blocked me from going any deeper into the hospital. We proved the hospital was empty. So the response that we got from Trillium Healthcare was to ban me from all the Mississauga hospitals.
Well, let me just pop in there. Is that it was, I believe, later proven, if I'm not mistaken, that the video that you recorded was not a pandemic related video and you misrepresented. That's what I've heard. I could be wrong. We're throwing around a bunch of days today. Hey, dude, I could be wrong, but I've kind of caught you in a couple of little stories where you're not including, proper information. So that's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, I was in Mississauga at Queensway and Highway 10. That was during the pandemic.
All right, kids, but listen, but your video in a hospital and some ambulance, a video of an ambulance is not infectious disease research.
No, that's me proving that the hospitals were empty when CBC went ahead and said that the hospitals were full and everybody was on ventilators and the lineups were around the corner. There was nobody in the hospital. So I debunked everything that CTV and CBC had to say. That's what that was about.
Debunk everything? Or did you use some creative video to suggest that the COVID was a hoax?
When you go live on Facebook, you can't really edit. There's no such thing as editing video live on Facebook.
All right. So Kevin, now I have a question a little bit about your wiring, right? Because I mean, I think we got a good sense of who you are. Yeah. Do you feel like you have been put on the planet to do you have like a martyr complex, or do you think you need to be here for everyone's protection? Like, do you wake up every morning with some sort of mission to save us all from ourselves?
That would be extremely egocentric of me.
Okay.
And for me, like you're almost talking about, do I have a God complex or a savior complex? And the answer is no, absolutely not. But
it's a fair question.
It's a fair question, but I'm also going to answer it properly. No, I don't have that complex. It's not my job to rescue you two gentlemen from anything, nor anybody else. But when there is a massive injustice that is going to affect me, my children's future, society that I live in, and so on, of course I'm going to look into it, and of course I'm going to help out where I can.
Okay, dude, he's like a sentinel. You know what he is? Kevin's like one of those conspiracy sentinels where he's like, and eye out for this.
Okay, so let's jump up. Let's just jump. Let's just take a couple of steps ahead of. I don't think we really need to worry about filling in all the gaps here. But now you're in Costa Rica, okay, and you're essentially living outside of Canada because why are you there? Is there a reason why you're in Costa Rica?
I'll answer that question. I'll answer the question if you gentlemen let me answer it in its entirety. Would that be okay?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but hold it though, dude. You can't take us on some kind of wacky goose chase here again.
It's not wacky at all. It's not wacky at all. Not one bit.
Okay, just yes or no answers first. Let me just ask a few yes or no answers and then get to Lachlan's more drawn out questions. So I just got a couple questions because we're going to be here for a bit.
No, not really. It's a short story. Go ahead.
Okay. Did you move out of Canada to Costa Rica for legal reasons? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. No. Did you move to Costa Rica for financial reasons?
Yes.
Okay. Did you move to Costa Rica? Okay. Did you move to did you have to pay someone to get you down to Costa Rica, or did you go there legally?
I got on an airplane with permission and bought it. I would, but you buy the same way anybody would buy a ticket, fly, land, done.
Right.
That's it. $145.
We'll look into that later.
One more question. If you came back, would you be in legal trouble in Canada? Did you leave anything unattended to legally in Canada before you left?
Well, the province of Ontario, they want me to go and rot for 18 months in prison for contempt of court, but that's on appeal right now.
Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Kev, this is exciting. I'm excited.
Now,
you're honest.
Now, why are you in Costa Rica? Give us your reason.
Yeah.
You promised.
He's wanted in jail.
Yeah, I promise, Kevin.
Okay, good.
Promise.
So after the mayor bit, after the podcast that we were doing in 2021 with COVID and me running for mayor, it was huge. The numbers were off the charts, huge. There's a massive amount of money coming in and so on. The government didn't like that, obviously. So after the campaign was done, I got an additional 40 days of prison time, then 15, then 12, then house arrest, then fines, then they took my car, then they locked all my bank accounts up. So like I'm scratching my head thinking, well, what the hell am I going to do with my time? I love Calgary. I love the city of Calgary. And I had this little studio space that might have been 15 by 10. And I would get in front of the computer and I realized, I can't do anything here. There's no money here. I can't get a job here. Like people see me like, oh yeah, Kevin, I voted for you, but you can't work here. That nonsense. So it finally hits me. If I want to work and make money and utilize my skill set for something that actually benefits me and my family, my family's future, I can't be in Canada. No. So I had also at that time been looking at places like Florida, Texas, Barbados, Panama, looking for places that might.
Did you look into Russia, Pyongyang, North Korea? No.
Hell no. Well, Russia I would go to for a vacation, but Pyongyang, hell no.
You know what? Do it. Go to Russia for vacation. I want to dig into your trip down there. So are you a landed immigrant in Costa Rica, or are you there?
How long have you been there?
Yeah.
I've been here 5 months.
5 months.
Okay. Yeah, 5 months.
Plan on coming back, or you plan on becoming?
I don't know.
And you don't know?
I really don't know. I mean, like I just.
You have a job down there?
I am doing relocation for people here. I'm helping people who want to move to Costa Rica or Panama or Mexico get that done. So while I got down here, here's the good news about Costa Rica. There's a lot.
Like
of
you don't have to SNED at a gas station or anything for money, do you? Like you've got a legitimate way to make some kind of income down there, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm just checking.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So while I was helping people move their finances and whatnot here to Costa Rica, getting properties bought, because Costa Rica is the place to buy on the West Coast, not the East Coast, the West Coast for making profit on your property. It turns out that a lot of people who watch my podcast were also having a great deal of difficulty with the Canada Revenue Agency. Now, I'm telling you, man, they're all saying like, what do? I got these threatening letters. So I just started saying, send me your letter. Let me see it. And it turns out, Dean, that these letters that the CRA are sending to people are written by AI. And everyone, like over 300 people have sent me these threatening letters. AI is telling everybody in Canada, you owe between $50,000 and $56,000. It's those magical numbers in there. I'm thinking, okay. So not only, Dean, am I helping people move to Costa Rica, but I'm helping them get rid of their tax debts too. And I'm doing it from here where there's no license required to do what I'm doing.
Wow, but it works out then.
Incredibly well.
Okay,
and there's no censorship here, right? So since I got to Costa Rica, I went from 18,000 followers on Instagram to almost 67,000 today.
Congratulations.
It's just because there's no one's blocking IP addresses.
Okay.
You can.
Okay. So let me just. I want to pop back.
Lots to unpack here.
Yeah, there is a lot to unpack. I've written
not
a couple of things down.
There's a lot to unpack.
That was my next question. Was it worth it? Like
from a knowledge standpoint, from what I know compared to what the average man knows, that was worth it.
You're smarter than me now, for sure, guaranteed.
Well,
guaranteed. All the Costa Rican stuff, and feeding into it, was it worth it? To Lachlan's question, another question I would buttress that with:
not everything in life is worth it, gentlemen. I mean, there are some
correct.
things in Canada that just weren't worth it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, would I have known that at the time? But even though
Wouldn't have
some
done this
things that
stuff.
I did, they weren't profitable, they may not have been worth it from a financial standpoint. They were worth it from a knowledge standpoint.
Okay. So
Right?
fair enough.
So I don't
me-
regret any of that based on what I now know.
Okay, so learning experience aside, what it sounds like you do, it sounds like you got on a flight to Costa Rica and you stayed, and you're helping other people like you that have similar issues in Canada, whether they be cultural issues, or in your case, you believe it's a political issue, or in a lot of people's cases, tax issues. Is that
Mostly
correct?
financial. Mostly financial.
Okay, so you're helping people dodge taxes and move to a different country.
Eliminate taxes legally and move to another country.
Are you
It's all in the wording.
It's all coming
now
together.
hold on. Listen, I rail against the increased cost of living here in Canada all the time, and I'm shocked by people's defense of every increase, right? And I'm the reason why I'm shocked is because Canada, we're taxed like crazy, and it's getting more and more difficult to live, and we're getting more and more homeless. And you know what? Listen, and everybody goes, it's only 3 cents on the dollar. Like, I love those conversations. The one I really love is, but we're giving you a rebate. We're taking it and we're giving it back to you. It drives me absolutely insane. So I'm not a tax guy. I'm not the guy that's sitting here going, we have to pay tax. But we do have a country that is quite nice to live in from my perspective. So I will pay my share. I just think that we got to do something to stop the spending, stop because every day Trudeau's on the TV right now and there's $1 billion for this. And every time he says it, I'm like, our taxes are going to continue to go up, and they go up at every level. Oh. Did you pay taxes when you lived in Canada, Kevin, or did you try to find ways to avoid paying taxes?
How honest would you like me to be on that one?
Okay, well,
you're in Costa Rica. No one can get you, so let it all out.
It wouldn't matter anyway, gentlemen, because I've told this story before in Canada.
Hit it.
In the year 2000, I spent 4 months trying to culminate all my paperwork to get my taxes done, and I still owed the money. And I was scratching my head thinking, wait a minute, hold on. Nobody paid me for the 20 hours per week for 4 months for my time to get this stuff done. And nobody paid me to get this paperwork done. Then I paid an accountant, and then I still owed the money, according to them. So, Dean, I sent them a letter, a registered letter with my social insurance card, telling them that I am returning this to you because I can find no evidence of a signature I have placed on a contract you've put before me. You have exactly 90 days to return this card to me and prove to me that I must pay taxes, or I will discontinue reporting for the rest of my life. They did not reply, and I stopped reporting in the year 2001.
Are you Freeman?
Oh, God, no, those guys are idiots. No.
Those guys are idiots, but they all
no, those guys, they do stupid stuff like take over houses that aren't.
Those guys are morons.
That's ridiculous,
Kevin, can I ask you another question? And again, listen, this is not a judgment question. Have you ever been diagnosed with anything, like any kind of?
I was once court ordered to go and see a psychiatrist.
Okay.
And we sat in his office, and after about 45 minutes of just chatting back and forth, he's tapping his pen. He says, "What the hell are you doing here?" The judge said, "Come," so I'm here. And he just writes things down saying this guy's normal. And then we just proceeded to have a conversation for the last 15 minutes of my time. The diagnosis.
His professional diagnosis with you was you seem normal, you can leave.
Exactly.
Didn't do anything wrong. Yeah.
Do you think you're normal?
No, I do not think I am normal. I think that the way that my brain works is outside of the norm. I think that my particular perspective on how the universe works is absolutely outside of the norm. I see patterns that other people don't see. I see things other people don't see, and I hear things other people don't hear.
Okay.
Typically what I'm hearing, gentlemen, is I hear BS from others. The whole school system, for example, is garbage. The idea, like philosophically speaking, the idea of authority existing is insane to me. Now, we're all born the same way. We're here for the same reason. Our fathers lied about wearing condoms. That's it. So what makes one person special over top of another? What gives one human being authority? I never agreed or believed in authority from that stance.
Knowledge and accountability generally. Like if someone has the ability to be knowledgeable.
I'm all of a sudden on common ground with Kevin.
Yeah. Okay. So I knew we'd find something.
That's the tag, right? Is that there are a lot of people, you know, and we joke around. I'm having fun with Kevin today because I find this story absolutely hilarious.
It's fascinating. It really is.
But you know, we joke around and it's easy, right? It's like low hanging fruit in the capacity where people are like, are we taxed too much? Well, fuck, 100% of people are going to say, yeah, of course we are.
Well,
You
it's
like the
something like
government involvement in
70%
your life? 100% of people are going to say, no, I don't. But Kevin takes it to the extreme, and it again, I'm trying to understand your story. So your displeasure started in 2000 when you like sent the government your sin card, and you're like, I'm out of the tax game.
Does that have anything to do with you not being able? That seems to coincide with you not being able to get work.
It does, doesn't it? But no, at the time I was actually running a business, and I had.
Kevin, I have another question, and I think listen, the fact that you spent this much time with us is fascinating. I like Kevin. I like Kevin.
He's funny. He's a good guy.
I think you're a very funny guy. I do. I think your approach maybe. Here's my thing, right? Like I also have a brain, and I got to stop myself from doing this every once in a while. I'm very skeptical, and I do think that people are out to get me. Like I've been wired like that my whole life, and so I'm on board with the. You know what? People are trying to screw you. And when it comes down to money, there's always going to be somebody that's going to try to get into your pocket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, always. But I also am kind of where the buck stops with me, and this is where my question comes in, is where you lose me in the conspiracy theory of the world's out to get us is that there's some organized sort of thing behind the scenes. Like that's where I have.
And they're overly concerned with him.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And no. So hold on. But also that there's this group of people that are like that they're behind the curtain, and they're pulling strings, and they're planning pandemics, and they're just trying to like pit us all against each other. I don't think that our political systems around the world are organized enough. And I just think that a lot of times certain things happen to us, and it's a product of the world that we live in. Do you think there is a cabal, an organized effort behind the scenes to control our lives and mess with us and make us move to Costa Rica so that we can escape the overly woke world that we now live in? Right? Do you believe that there's that sort of that group?
It's a movement. It's a special operation against the world.
You brought up Antifa. But
yeah,
earlier.
Okay. Well, it's called the World Economic Forum, if that's what you're asking.
So you do believe in that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, hold on. Gentlemen, I'll tell you why. Is because I did read Klaus Schwab's book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, where he comes out and he says he's a billionaire and he wants to have a one world government. He also went out of his way to talk about race, where he said this is not my words. This is Klaus Schwab's words. He said that he needs to reduce the population of white people because white people have the highest propensity for revolution when they are treated unfairly. He also said that they would like to have more Chinese people and Asians in there because they do what they're told. This is Klaus Schwab, not me. Now, when you've got billionaires talking like this, I do pay attention. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say that Klaus Schwab's meanderings are going to influence everything I do in this lifetime, but I will say that when there's people out there who are seriously into money and they are seriously telling you what they want to do, you should pay attention. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, totally agree. Now let's just take this up. I'm a big fan of fact checking. Yeah, fact checking. Big fan. We'll put a bow on this to Lachlan's point. Okay. So you said Klaus Schwab says he wants to depopulate the earth of white people and wants more Asian people, correct? You said that Klaus Schwab said that?
That's correct.
Okay, so let's bring this up.
Definitely,
that's an article on you.
I think they're overbought.
Is that my name?
Population comparisons.
Oh, here we go again. Hate speech.
No. I'm on the wrong. No. I'm on the wrong one. Sorry, dude. I legitimately am. This is where you were accused of hate speech. Muslim loathsome example of hate speech. Okay, no, not that one. Hang on a second. Let me go get the other one.
Oh, there's my lawyer, Ian McQuaig. Congratulations.
Was he your lawyer?
Yeah, Ian.
See, this is where I lose. Like, I just think that I don't think there's this effort to populate the world with more Chinese people, and that that's where I get lost.
And this is why conversation. This is what I like doing.
This guy.
Hang on, this is what I'm like. No, you said Klaus Schwab said it. So anyway, here we go. Depopulation quote. This is from June 29, 2021, Reuters. depending on how you feel about Reuters. I feel pretty good about Reuters.
They're okay.
Well, yeah, no one likes things that disagree with them, though.
They're okay.
Depopulation, quote, has been misattributed to Klaus Schwab. Quote about depopulation has been misattributed to the founder of the chairman of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab. Social media posts have shared an excerpt saying to be taken from a book written by Schwab called COVID-19, The Great Reset. The excerpt reads, 4 billion useless eaters shall be eliminated by 2050. Means of limited wars, special epidemics, fatal rapid-acting diseases, and starvation. The population in Canada, Western Europe, United States will be decimated more rapidly than other continents until the world's population reaches a manageable level of 1 billion, which 500 million will consist of Chinese, Japanese races selected because they are people who have been regimented for centuries and who are accustomed to obeying authority without question. A search showed that the extract cannot be found in Klaus Schwab's book at all. It does, however, appear in a book by John Coleman called Conspirators, the Hierarchy Story of the Committee 300. That is where the quote came from. It was from an anti-Klaus Schwab book. It is not an attributed Klaus Schwab.
Right, but you picked the wrong book. I said Fourth Industrial Revolution. I didn't say COVID-19.
No, you got the book. That's because it doesn't exist in that book either. So it doesn't. Yeah. So that's well, okay, no, now, but again, right, Kev? Stay with me, baby. Stay with me.
I'm staying with you, sweetheart.
All right. Well, again, you're looking at gaslighting people with what is absolutely not true that you believe is true. I'm not saying you're doing it intentionally. You believe that is true. We have just asserted that is wrong. That is not true.
You've asserted that it's wrong using routers or Reuters.
I can probably get about 1.5 million different examples of that story written by other people.
We might get stuck here. I'm just warning you.
I like it. I'm not going to argue the point. You're saying that he didn't say that. I'm saying that he did. It's cool. Let's agree to disagree.
No, but there's no proof that he did. There's only proof that he didn't. Well, sure, but anyway, continue.
Well, how about his maniac compadre there, that Yuval Noah Harari? That's the guy.
Dude, I can't believe anything you say now after that whole mess.
Wait, have you actually listened to what Harari says, though, gentlemen?
Well, I'll look into it on my own and use reason choice, but I can't. I did no offense.
These gentlemen actually filmed themselves, and we've played them on my show, and people are scratching their heads thinking, how is the general public not seeing these things and paying attention to it?
Well, you know what my opinion would be the general public isn't paying attention to them and they're not happening.
Kevin, are you still podcasting?
Yeah. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, the Kevin J. Johnson Show at 9 p.m. Eastern time.
What are we talking about this week?
Well, last night we had Rob Anders on the show. He's a former member of parliament. He used to work with Justin Trudeau very closely. He's also a banking expert. It was actually part 2 of a 3-part series talking about how Justin Trudeau is going to allow the Canada Bank Act to expire next year on June the 30th, meaning that all the Canadian banks will lose their charter. So again, gentlemen, that wasn't me saying any of that. That was Rob Anders, who was a parliamentarian for 18 years, coming forward. I was asking questions. He was answering questions. That's what I do on my podcast is I will bring in professionals that make their statements, and I will also do as much checking as I possibly can before and afterwards. We've had some fruitcakes on the show. Not going to lie. We've had some real fruitcakes on the show. But we've also had some extremely competent people on the show too.
How do we find you? How do we find your podcast, Kevin?
freedomreport.ca. That's freedomreport.ca.
And it's just on a webpage. Yeah. Have you been deplatformed from YouTube?
Oh, of course I have. I don't know, 15, 16 times. Yeah, probably.
Okay. We're humming over there.
So people would have to find you on your webpage as opposed to
freedomreport.ca goes directly to my Rumble channel where there's about 1,700 videos right now.
Okay.
Wow, you've been busy.
Is there a chance you're on Twitter? My guess is
yes. KJ. Yeah, I got my account back after a couple of years. Elon gave it back.
God for Elon. Hey?
Yeah, there you go. So KJJ TV 13. KJJ TV 13. You can follow.
This has been fascinating. I
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I am. Yes, you're an interesting duck for sure, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin, I would say this. As I'm going to come at content a little bit differently. I
apologize for calling everybody on your side of the equation hillbillies for 4 years. So I apologize for calling you guys hillbillies.
Well, I accept.
Okay, buddy. I appreciate that. And saying you are less than other people, that is not true. You're just like everybody else trying to figure it out, but you've got an angle, you got a thing, you got some bluster, you got all that stuff. And I will say this, Kev, my advice to you as a man to another man from listening to your story and as you explain it would be a couple of words you should look into. I think everybody could do this.
Here's some stoicism for you, Kevin.
Self-awareness. Like, what part do you play in the chaos in your life? Because
as a guy
court dates, 22 different arrests, I would think about it. As my dad always used to say,
I know what the answer is. Dean, I got a big mouth. I know exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Right?
Yeah, you can't help
I got
yourself.
a big mouth.
It's an emotional thing. But my dad used to say to me, and I'll leave you with this, Kev.
Yeah.
If one person has a problem with you, maybe it's pretty equal. Maybe it's two people that just have a problem.
I could fill a room.
Everybody has a problem with you. You might want to look into what you're doing. And I'm like,
sure.
I was 12 when my dad told me that. Totally got it right away. And then so I would tell you the same thing as a man to a man, as a content guy, and to a guy who's doing content. I would say, give her, dude, give her. And I appreciate the honesty about your situation and having the stones to come on this show. Anytime someone comes on, it's like, it's unfriendly territory, right? But we're trying to talk to other people. You're cool about talking to us. I wish you was a human being, nothing but peace and happiness. And we'll talk to you soon, Kev.
Well, Dean, look, this has been an absolute pleasure. And I'm just going to tell you that I do not disagree with what you just said. I am well aware of who and what I am. And I am well aware of how I am perceived by set groups of people. I think the only thing that I would ever say in my defense, even though defense is not required in this, would be that anybody who's on the far left who disagrees with my stance would never be a customer anyway. The customers I do have are the ones that either think like me or need someone who thinks like me to help them with their issues. And I'm okay with this. That means, Dean, I'm probably relegating myself to about maybe 30% of the population that can tolerate me. 70% that can't.
Yeah, it's not a great business model. If you're going to be in the content game, you want it to apply to everybody, right? Yeah,
Kevin's doing okay.
I get what you're saying.
I don't think we're going to push him into the middle here.
Well,
not today.
I would much rather be in the middle, guys. I would much rather the country be the country that I grew up in. Canada was a phenomenal place. I adored.
Do you miss
my time in Southern Ontario from 1970. I think about 77. I became cognizant of the world around me.
You miss it? Right around when they brought in seatbelt laws.
Do you miss Canada? Do you miss Canada?
Remember standing on the back seat of the car and sleeping on the back dashboard of a 72 Impala.
Do you miss Canada, Kev? You coming back one day?
Probably one day, yeah. Look, don't get me wrong. The country is beautiful. I've traveled the whole country now. It's beautiful, especially Alberta. I adore Alberta, and I love the layout of Calgary. I've got so many good friends and family in Canada. But the politics, I can't be a part of it. It's very.
I find that to be hilarious too. Is that when people go, I can't because of the politics. You do have a choice not to pay attention to it.
That is true.
Does. It's like, fuck, I'm moving out of Edmonton because the radio sucks. It's like, are you really?
I'm still, guys. I'm interested in economic opportunity, and what I'm doing for people here, I really can't do in Canada.
No kidding. Because a bunch of people dodging taxes down there. Anyway, talk to you soon, Kev. Thanks, buddy.
Definitely. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Kevin J. Johnson, ladies and gentlemen.
That was entertaining, Kevin. Thank you.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dude, you did great.
I'm still angry at you. Hey, I just got to restart and then you went and had a meeting.
I have, dude.
Hey, Kevin, nice to meet you. Hey, I'm restarting, which I knew is bullshit.
I restarted my computer at the start, and then I had a phone call from our new podcast hosting partner.
25 minutes.
We just did a huge deal with them to pay you.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, and I didn't tell you about it ahead of time, and I knew I had a crunch. And it was one of those decisions where you're like, okay, I got two things going on at one time. I can inconvenience Lachlan because he's my friend, but I can't inconvenience our new business partner.
You know what you do? You know what you do, Dean? You inconvenience me when the Muse girls are on. Then I can have a nice, pleasant conversation with the two nice-looking ladies. You don't do it when, hey, Kevin. Kevin in Costa Rica.
You know, the best part of that was the only reason I
It's
felt
like, you
bad
son of a bitch.
is because he showed up like early. You showed up early. It's like 1:25. We're supposed to start.
I didn't even. I'm just trying to give you a hard time.
I know.
It wasn't that bad.
Hey, by the way, I was doing some reading on Kevin. And the guy he said was on his show also was prosecuted for tax evasion.
Well, there's a lack of accountability here, and here can I say this? I think you got extreme sides of the equation here, right? You got, I think we are overly, and I know that it drives the left crazy. We are a little overly woke right now, and I think that needs to be said out loud.
Totally.
But then you got a guy like Kevin who's hiding from paying taxes in Costa Rica. I mean, let's boil it down, to what it really is.
To your point, and I'll be real quick. All the reasons he gave us for his persecution and why his life went the way it would is because of the thing you just said.
Well, and it wasn't because he's a white male.
No, he said the government
might have had something to do with the fact that he relinquished his SIN card in 2000. Right? Like,
you know what I loved about that is where you're like, does that strangely coincide with the same timeline of you not being?
So, but again, I think what we've done to ourselves in this world, this very divisive world, this, and we're very divided still, even though I think there is an attempt now to try to open up the lines of communication with people like Kevin, right? And Dean and Kevin hooking up today and having a conversation, as disjointed as that was and as frustrating as that was.
Really why I did it.
I mean, we do need to still question things that are happening in the world around us. I think we do. I think you can go too far and you can end up in Costa Rica, but I think there is a time and a place to ask questions about what's happening to us. And so that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. That's kind of been beaten out of us because you go, if you say it out loud, you say any of these things out loud. And again, it seems a little misplaced me mentioning this after having Kevin J. Johnston on the podcast. But when you do question things, and when we did question things, COVID, for example, people did get persecuted. So Kevin's not wrong about that. He just took it to the next level, right? Like I was saying this, and we kind of touched on it yesterday. Listen, with the combination of social distancing, with the combination of the mask, with the vaccine, I realized that I was just doing my part. And if you break each individual piece down, the mask, the social, all of it, should we have closed this down? Should we shut down at this time? There's quite, back in the day when you did question it, you would get hauled out. My problem was, and I brought this up countless times, was that we were not allowed to have these conversations. Even if you were in the middle, not crazy, but even if you were in the middle, you weren't allowed to, and you were scared to bring up anything that questioned authority. And that's a problem, and that needs to be investigated. And that's what Kevin's not wrong about.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I guess. But let me ask you something. Okay. Because what I noticed in that interview, which I thought was interesting, is that he didn't mention masks. He didn't mention COVID. None of those things.
Brought up that he didn't wear one, right? Like he's never put one on.
Whatever. Good.
He didn't vaccinate, clearly.
But even if he did or he didn't. That whole thing, the whole story that we finally got to at the end piece, right? The end piece was down here helping other people who don't want to pay taxes, not pay taxes.
Essentially.
Every arrest, the story about him running for mayor, which we debunked in the middle of that, which he never pulled any higher than last or second last. No receipts.
I don't think technically he was even a candidate.
No, not really. He just
because he couldn't run because he didn't live there long enough or something.
And that came with a fundraiser. Everything he does, support me because I got arrested. I need money. Fundraiser, everything. Fundraiser. Almost like the one man rebel news show, right? Yeah. Where
he's an interesting doctor.
Very interesting. And to your point, he was so off the rails during the pandemic. Like one of those guys who you'd see get arrested all the time and just to stunt on his freedoms. But it was never about that. It was about painting himself,
you know, when Russell Brand went out, and Russell Brand was like, never listen to the news, never listen to the news. 3 years later, it's the news is like, oh, by the way, you're a pedophile. He's like, I told you, never listen to the news. It's like, he's like, it's the same thing with this, where he's like, I'm persecuted, I'm persecuted, I'm persecuted. And during those conversations, you pull out a nugget from somewhere. It's like, okay, tell me about your tax situation. And he's like, no, I don't pay taxes. Yeah. Okay. And what do you do down there? How do you make money? Are you there legally? All that other
My
stuff.
point being, Dean, like I wanted to like make a point. We got to continue to ask questions, right? We have to.
Yeah, that is, you're 100% right, but that's not what that's not what he's getting at.
That's why I'm saying it's a little misplaced. It sounds a little outside of where we should be going with this conversation, just based on what happened. But again, why were we not having more conversations during that time about the impact of the lockdown on our mental health? Why were we not having more conversations about we had all these rules in place about what we could and couldn't do and how many people we could have in our fucking house and all that, but there was never any conversation about, what we could be doing health-wise to protect our immunities, right? Like, there was a lot of things we should have been doing and we didn't do them, and it was bothersome to me, like that. And
totally. And you know what? You're 100%
I didn't move to Costa
right.
Rica. I put the fucking mask on. I followed the rules, and I shut my mouth at times.
That's not why he moved to Costa Rica either. He moved to Costa Rica because he can't get a job because he won't pay his taxes because he's indignant. And he's like, fuck the world.
I know some people that moved to Mexico because they didn't want to get the vaccine.
Me too. I know people who moved to Costa Rica, Bolivia. I know a dude that moved to Portugal. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to Lisbon. I'm like, for how long? He goes, I have no idea, but I hate it here. Hates Trudeau, hates all that stuff's good. Do whatever you want. I mean, no problem. But when someone tells you that they're doing something like that, generally speaking, they're doing something like that because it's attached to several other issues.
Yes.
And it's really convenient to go medical tyranny. But in the background, you're like, you can skip out on 5 years worth of taxes.
Yeah.
Or I'm wanted by the law.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, the story that he told about trying to escape Canada, I almost pissed my fucking pants.
Don't you remember that? We talked about that on this podcast.
I do now. Yeah. As he was talking about it. But I don't like.
There was a whole story about who was there to pick him up too across the line.
He did the part where he's like, so I just hunkered down in a snowbank. It was really cold because it was like minus 48.
He almost died. He almost died. Here's the other thing too that I will say. As much as I don't like this politician,
he really doesn't want to pay taxes.
No,
that's all I got.
As much as I don't like this politician or that politician, there's also something else to be said out loud here. These, like, Justin Trudeau isn't going to shut down the banking system in Canada. I mean, we have checks and balances in place, in politically in Canada and in North America and democratic societies that don't allow. Although Trump is really pushing the envelope on the.
It's getting there. To your point. No one took his bank account. The city of Calgary and the people of Calgary were not intimidated by how much power he wielded.
A gang of Antifa thugs didn't show up at his house. I'm pretty sure that
7 times with masks on because they didn't want to get COVID.
It's probably his neighbors trying to get him to move out of the neighborhood.
People are going to listen to that podcast.
We're kind of killing the whole point of doing the podcast to begin with. Kevin was very gracious enough to get on here.
Yes, but we're allowed to
share his story. It is
funny. He was laughing with us. We're not shitting on the guy. I give him credit. I told you, I give him credit for showing up when he did. And this is like as being in the visitors clubhouse, dude. He's like, yeah, I'll come on. And I'm like, good, because I want to know all about you. And we did. And that is generally the point.
There's quite a few holes in the story, but again. All right, you ready for the locker room retro replay of the day?
Brought to you by Ardent Roof Systems and my man Stacy Dissatel, Owen Corning's #1 platinum partner, guarantees his work. Yes, I am. What do you have for us today?
By the way, next week we are going to. I just found out about this just before we jumped on the podcast. I got an email from Stacy from Ardent Roof Systems, ardentroofsystems.com to sign up for the golf tournament. But we've got we got a member of Owens Corning coming on next week. Dean, I'll get you the details, but we're going to talk a little bit about that business because they're actually sponsoring. They're very charitable, so they actually give back to the charities that the companies that they work for are a big part of. So they're a very charitable organization as well. So, and they're a big part of the golf tournament. So we're going to be talking with Jonathan. His last name is escaping me right now, but that's next week. I'll keep you posted on that.
Cool. All right.
So this one kind of speaks for itself. I wasn't aware of what a cuck was. Did you know? Do you know what a cuck is?
Yeah, it's a dude who's a kept man.
Okay.
Effectively.
And I wasn't
kept man.
I was confused about cuckolding.
Cuckolding.
Yeah. So this was a conversation that we say it again.
Cuckolding.
Yeah.
Cuckolding. Yeah. It's a sexual fetish with an individual gets turned on by their partner having sex with someone else.
We had a long discussion yesterday about cuckolding.
Yes, we did.
Okay, now I'm not sure I'm clear on this. So this is a fetish, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen some videos, but I'm very confused. Who initiates this?
I don't know if it's the man or the woman that would initiate it. I don't know.
And maybe people can
probably
send
both,
me a
I guess.
note on this. But I always thought that this was more of a punishment for the man.
No.
That
The men are into it.
The men are into it.
The men
Okay.
like watching and like
There are some videos where it looks
Jimmy's
like
a watcher.
It does look like sometimes the man doesn't like it and that she's punishing him.
That's his fetish, is like being punished.
Being upset about
Like it being called like a wimp and like,
okay,
check it out, I'm way more man than you are.
I'm glad I met you. And now I have a better handle on cuckolding.
The locker room topic of the day.
We were discussing what you thought your last words might be. Then it turned into a conversation about cuckolding.
It's only, it's a natural progression.
Okay.
From last words to this.
Now, we did get a clarification. It's not so much a fetish.
Yeah, Bob was upset because we called it a fetish. He said, no, it's a kink.
Okay, and then he brought up pegging.
With a winky face, he texted
Okay,
in.
all right. Bob's got some
kinks.
He's got some
not
busy
fetishes.
weekends.
So we learn things.
We learn things from you. So thank you, Bob.
Pat also said it's nature's way of taking the weak out of the gene pool. Cuckolding is.
Well, does somebody have to die afterwards? Like now I'm
reproducing because they don't get to make the love, right?
Oh,
right. So
the guy in the chair he's the weaker end of the species.
Yeah, he's the cuck.
Okay,
sounds like a word I shouldn't be able to say on the radio.
It'll probably get added to the list after the show.
There you go. Your whole definition. See, not a lot of people on the radio. This is what makes you so special on a radio lock. This is what made you what you were.
You know,
not a lot of radio guys don't have enough of a suspended ego that they can go into a break like that and go, explain this to me. Something that everybody's well aware of that you missed.
I didn't know what it was. I knew what it was, but I didn't technically know what it was. Actually, what makes that even funnier is that was from one of our live broadcasts in Jamaica from a sandals resort when we went down there with 10 other radio stations. And every other radio station was talking about some huge news that happened in the royal family. And we spent the whole morning talking about being a cuck. And that other shows would be turning around going,
what are they doing? What are they doing? It's like not talking about the news. Well, it's news to you if you don't know what cuckolding is and you want to have that conversation live. Sexual fetish in which an individual gets turned on by their partner having sex acts with someone else. This is absolutely not in my wheelhouse of kink.
I would not be able to watch somebody go after my wife.
Yeah. But the dude
that would be a bad day.
Yeah, to me that's called divorce. To some guys it's a massive turn on, right?
I don't get
those guys. I want to know what's in their head. It's like the same
we
dude.
should get somebody that does that on the podcast and then have an hour and a half podcast with them.
Let's talk about I would love to. Dude, these are my favorite podcasts to do. Everybody out there in Radio Land, you can get all upset. You can say, what are you doing? Why aren't you interviewing news people? Why aren't you talking about the news? I'm so exhausted by it. The Dean 1.0, Fat Dean, is making really good friends with Dean 2.0. And this is the stuff I want to talk about. Cuckolding. I want to have Fat Dean's back. It's just, you just look skinnier.
Yeah.
And he's a bit of a snack to the ladies. He's a bit of a middle-aged snack.
You are a middle-aged snack, by the way.
I really
Go to
feel
the
like
Dean,
one.
The Dean store to buy that shirt. Maybe you're
Middle-aged
a middle-aged snack.
Yeah. You can get it at the Dean store, which is in the description of the podcast. You can get a bunch of stuff there, including Save Lachlan shirts. Go and do yourself a
That's
favor.
on the lock store. The
locker
room
room
store. I could
merch
put
page.
Save Lachlan cross shirts up on the Dean store if you want.
Yeah, do it, because we still need to make you money. And the less
Arden-
money we make from that, the more money we make from that, the less money I have to ever think about giving
Ever
you.
pay me. The ArdenRoofSystems.com webpage is where you sign up for the golf tournament that is happening Friday, July 5th. Actually, a couple of people reached out to me. They've signed up. It's going to be a good day. Still looking for sponsorships as well. Dean's coming out. He's golfing with us, so he's booking his flight tonight. He's looking at his Avion point.
No, TD Rewards.
Okay, you're getting a flight out here, and you're going to stay with me, and we're golfing on July 5th.
Do I have to stay with you?
Do not.
I hate that. I'm not a good stayer at people's houses.
Okay, well then don't stay, but please come.
You get uncomfortable, like where you're at someone and you go into their space.
You can come over for dinner, and then you can,
and you're like, I want to grab a coffee, but I don't want to ask because I hate asking people for shit. I'm the worst house guest ever, but I will stay with you if there's a clean space, sheets are done, and if Deb's there. Because if just you and me,
no,
someone's gonna
Deb's
get
always here.
Alcohol poisoning and eat a whole kielbasa. Is what I'm saying.
We're good. We're good. Deb's always around.
All right.
Yeah, we'll have a babysitter. Okay. You promised me.
July 5th, I will be there for the Arden Roof Systems golf tournament in support of Stollery Children's Life Program, Child Life Program. Really appreciate it. I will be there.
And on Friday, we'll see you at Monster Pro Wrestling. Get your tickets. And if you are interested in going, send me a note. I'll hook you up with the way to get tickets, okay? The guest list is full.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, you filled it up. Hey,
I filled it up. By the way, I also have a very funny video for you to show to see. We'll show that to you tomorrow or the next day. I went down to the lair, they call it. It's where they practice for Monster Pro Wrestling, and did a little promo video with Massive.
We got to play it tomorrow. Yeah, it's Thursday, so it'll be like the day before the event. We can maybe get them to sell some tickets at the gate. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll leave it at that.
All right, I don't want to know anymore. Thanks, buddy.
Right. And the Muse Girls tomorrow. That's happening?
Yeah, big time.
Okay.
The Muse Girls are back. I think Emily Riley might be joining us. Muse Massage Spa, one of our partners, clinical sexologists, educators, advocates, owners of Muse Massage Spa, 1290 Finch Avenue West here in the beautiful city of Toronto. And
what's
you go
the
to
Dean deal?
MuseMassageSpa.com. The Dean deal is you DM them, go to their contact section on their website, send them a quick note, say, listen, I'm looking for the Dean deal, $50 off any visit, and very discreet, and they'll kind of help educate you as to how the therapeutic portion of going to a body rub parlor works, because it does.
I thought it was a salad
on this. I'm up on this. These are good people.
Salad tossing.
Oh, by the way, it's like next week there, it's kink week.
I've seen some ads.
Oh, dude, it's awesome. You can I don't have one, so I'm good. But
are you sure?
Oh, 100%.
You don't have any kinks?
No, I don't think I do. No. I have things that I like, but I don't have kinks. Yeah.
Are you
100%? Yeah. I don't have.
I had a conversation with
like Jimmy likes pregnant women.
Well, yeah, Jimmy's got he's got a handful of them. Like he's got a baker's dozen, I think.
Baker's dozen of kinks. Anyway,
so no, I was having a conversation with a guy who was very upset about me bringing up one of his kinks in a very public manner. And it wasn't a very severe kink, but like when we mentioned that he had this kink / fetish, because there's a bit of a difference, he was like, it's not a fetish, it's not a kink. But then when you really take a look at it, like when you really step outside of it, I'm like, dude, you like this.
Oh, but save it for tomorrow for Emily and Riley. I want to know what it is. I don't even want to know what it is right now, but I want to know what it is.
Because he's mad at me for bringing it up, so I'm not going to bring it up again. But
give him a different name.
Okay, Barry.
It's probably his real name. Kind of like I told my buddy
Carl
Craig Stevenson I wouldn't mention him on this program anymore. It's like, dude, did you say my name on the podcast last week? I go, what are you talking about? This is a couple months ago.
Something
about me doing something stupid at poker. And I'm like, probably. And he's like, can you not do it anymore? So I said to my buddy, Craig Stevenson, you bet I won't drop your whole name on the podcast anymore.
Is this the guy that has a bunch of really serious beliefs that no one agrees with anymore and you don't want him at poker?
Yeah. Also the same guy that also Craig Stevenson, who will go unnamed, was the same guy that came out of his bedroom at a poker party at his house with handcuffs and like a 12-inch dilly. And I was like, what's that? He goes, well, we got some new flair upstairs in the bedroom. He goes, everybody's into this, right? And I'm like, no, not everybody is into that. And the whole place got quiet. And my buddy's like, okay. And he turned around and went back upstairs, came back down. Poker was not the same after that. Poker was not the same. Everybody's like, who's the big blind? Who's the small blind? Okay, yeah. You know what? I'm going to go. And slowly people started to filter out. And my buddy, Craig Stevenson, who has the dilly handcuff kink, who I will go nameless.
It's funny that
he's
you're
like,
having
was
a
it me?
Poker party at his place and he's into pegging.
He goes, was it something I did? I go, chances are, yeah. Yeah, might have been the show and tell pegging of all the sex toys you and your wife at your buddy's fucking poker party, dude. Might have been it. He's like, well, everybody's into that, right? I go, no, actually. He goes, thank God I didn't.
Thank God of what?
Thank God I didn't. My buddy Craig Stevenson. He's like, thank God I didn't get out the apparatus. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need to know any more of that one. You and your wife just go have a great time tonight. He's like, all right, thanks.
All right, I need a nap after this one.
Yeah. Thanks for doing that.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
All right, Lock and Cross.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, you betcha. Follow him on Twitter at Lock and Cross. He's my friend. He can be your friend too for $9.99 a month. Not even $9.99. $9.99 a month. He's hoping to get 1,000 friends so you can make 10 grand a month. It's actually not a bad idea. Charge people for friendship. We live in a world where that could be a possibility. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Appreciate you being part of the show. As always, brought to you by our very good friends at Rome Auto. Looking for a car? Don't want to buy one? Only got a certain amount of money to spend a month? Don't want to put a big chunk down? Don't want a 7 to 10 year lease? You don't need one. Drive on your own terms with my friends at Rome.auto, a car subscription company called Rome is in the Greater Toronto area. They just launched, and right now you can roam with my friends at Rome. Rome with Dean is your promo code, $150 off your first month, home delivery of that vehicle, flexible monthly plans, no lease or interest payments. Here's the deal. This is why it's so awesome. That one payment, you can browse any car you want. They got Teslas, Beamers, Hyundais, Fords. They got it all. You can browse cars. You get insurance, routine maintenance, roadside assistance included. The only thing you pay for is fuel. And when you're done with it, you simply hand it in. Yeah, almost like on par. In fact, it's cheaper. If you factor in routine maintenance, insurance on a monthly basis, this is a cheaper option to get into a car and a risk-free option to get out of that car. And these good people, my friends Julie, Christelle, everybody over at Rome, a burgeoning little business car subscription company. It is going to take over the country. It is going to take over this city. Featured in Blog TO, Yahoo, Benzinga, CBC, 4.9 stars on Google. Thousands of happy drivers. Rome with Dean is your promo code. Go to Rome.auto for more details. Sign up today. Get $150 off your first month. Hey, my friend Colin makes torque wrenches, by the way. I don't know if anybody knows this. Colin Livingston, he's the owner, operator, founder of Can Torque. It's a hardworking torque wrench tool expert solution, a shop out of Edmonton. They give you the very best in sales, service, rental, calibration, maintenance, and custom fabrication of industrial torque tools. Torque tools, super simple. Canada's Can Torque is the top of the line torque and tension tool specialist, flange maintenance systems, impact sockets. You can rely on the very best quality in the world. And how I know this is this gentleman is all over the world. I think he just got back from China, was in Dubai, operates in Canada for heavy industry around the world. He's been doing it for 20 years. Colin is it, and they get solutions for bolting things that you cannot find a bolting solution for. Any loosening or fastening solution. Need a torque wrench, proudly Canadian, owned and operated and manufactured here in Canada. Edmonton, Alberta, as a matter of fact. So if you want to see their products, they've got a full range on their website. Go to cantorque.com for more information. Products, services, news, podcasts. You can check out his podcast called Talking Torque. You can become a distributor as well. So check them out today. Also brought to you by our friends at faktChek'd. Do you believe what you read, see, hear, feel, touch, videos, pictures, everything's misrepresented? People lie, torque stories. We just went through it with a Reuters story and our friend Kevin J. Johnson, who was like, hey, this is Klaus Schwab said this. Well, we just dummied that real quick. But why bother doing it yourself when there is tech and software available to break the tie, to prove a point, and to correct the record? Go to faktChek'd.io today. Sign up for their beta test. Very robust. It gives you a full imprint of whatever it is that came from social media that supported that information. It gives you actual sources to combat disinformation. It also scores and verifies the information that you're reading from thousands of sources, all in real time. You cannot miss with this. Give yourself agency over what you read. Join the faktChek'd beta team today, faktChek'd.io. Go to faktChek'd.io, faktChek'd.io today. And we're brought to you by my friends at Muse Massage Spa. We just gave them a big pump, so we're going to give them a little pump at the end here too. Emily and Riley are lovely people. They've got an incredible operation called Muse Massage Spa. It's at 1290 Finch Avenue West, Unit 13, Toronto, Ontario. Check out their website today, brand new, musemassagespa.com. And you can also get a little deal from them. Go to the contact area, send them a DM and say, hey, listen, Dean told me I could get a special deal. What's the deal? They'll walk you through it. They'll bring you down to the spa. They'll give you a very discreet, actual therapeutic session. Check their schedule, choose your muse, and download their podcast. Activists in the sex work industry, sexologists and educators, these women are on it. Emily and Riley, very funny, very entertaining. And they've got a podcast called Muse on the Mic where they talk about all the goings on in the Muse, massage, spa, body, parlor industry, and they dish. The Patreon aspect of it is awesome. It's totally uncensored. You can download and subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. Muse on the Mic is the name of the podcast. You can also get it at Crier Media. Very happy to have the ladies part of the network too, and partners here at Crier Media and partner of the Dean Blundell Show, Muse Massage Spa, 1290 Finch Avenue West. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day. I didn't plan on doing that for an hour and 41 minutes, but here we are. Thanks for being part of the show. As always, we appreciate it because you can give us your time. So much more valuable than things, and you can't get your time back. So thank you. Always full of gratitude that you spent an hour or so with us today. Have a great day. Rate, subscribe. Everything we do is at YouTube as well. Crier.co, YouTube, Crier Media, Dean Blundell Show. Have a nice time. See you tomorrow with the Muse, ladies. Bye.